Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Abby with Craft Express, and I'm very excited to be here. We're going to be talking about sublimation. What is sublimation? And we're going to be doing a project today with two stainless steel mugs. Now, these are pretty cool because they're stackable mugs. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. First of all, at Craft Express, we offer a variety of crafting products. We have some vinyl, we have some transfer sheets, but our bread and butter is sublimation. So you are in the right place to learn all about sublimation, what it is, and what you need to get started. So with sublimation, you do require of a sublimation printer, sublimation inks, and sublimation paper. All these three components are your base of sublimation. After that, then you need a blank and a heat source. So in this case, I will be using these stainless steel mugs. So they are special type of blank because they are coated for sublimation. Okay, so these have a polyurethane coating all around that makes it suitable to sublimate. What that means is we are taking a printed design, right? And these, remember, this ink is sublimation ink with our Craft Express sublimation paper. And what this does is we're transferring a solid, which in this case is the ink, onto our surface, a polyester or polyurethane coated surface that then skips the whole liquid phase, and with the use of a heat source turns into a gas. Those molecules on the polyester absorb those colors. They have nowhere else to go, and it becomes something permanent on your product, on your blank. And there's different types of blanks that you can use that are specially coated for sublimation. We have skinny tumblers, which is one of our most popular item in the sublimation industry. And we have glass product, ceramic, and, well, of course, I just mentioned the stainless steel. There are also other products that you can sublimate that don't require a tumbler press. Behind me, you will see that I have an oven at one side, and then I have a flat press as well. Both can be used to transfer a printed design onto your polyester surface. Do we have any questions so far?
I don't see any at this time.
Perfect. All right, so then let's get started. I printed a few examples here. So one is a wrap for the mug. These are 13-ounce stainless steel mugs. And then I also printed single images. I did it this way so you can see the different ways that you can print and sublimate. You can also print pictures. You can use our transfer sheets. So if you don't have a sublimation printer, we also have options like our transfer sheets that can be cut with the cutting machine, and then you transfer it over using heat. We're also going to talk about the importance of using the right time and temperature to transfer your designs over to your blank. So I think there's a question there. While Felicia reads it, I'm going to start by cutting or trimming out the white parts of my print.
Okay, so the question came in asking, so I can't use a regular printer on sublimation paper?
That's correct. So with sublimation, you would need a sublimation printer. And then sublimation inks and sublimation paper. So you wouldn't be able to sublimate it using your house printer, the one that you use to print letters or regular printing.
Okay, and there's another question, I almost missed it. It says, can we create our own transfers?
Yeah, so this is a sublimation paper, right? It looks blank. Let me show you an example here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is our paper. Cut this. And it's completely white. So you would then design your image or print it out from, there's different sources you can go to. There's Etsy, right, that you can get your images from. And then you would transfer it over to the program that you're using for sublimation. I'm trying to take it out, but it's it's stuck in there. And you would print your design on your paper. So you can definitely create your own transfers to then sublimate. Just remember, as long as it's a sublimation printer, paper, and sublimation ink, everything has to be sublimation. So this is the back. It has the logo. And then on the front, it's completely white. It's completely white. So you can print any design you want. Was there another question there?
It is. And I just really just want to add to your answer on that one. Definitely, if you have any type of design that's on some type of a cutting device, such as Cricut Silhouette or so forth, you can definitely put your image and print it out on the sublimation paper to be able to add to your image. Which leads right to the next question. Sonny's asking, what do we look for blank objects while purchasing, or where can we do that?
Where can you look for them? So
I
we
think,
are
yeah,
actually
basically where she can get the blanks from.
perfect. Yeah, we are actually at 50 Michaels locations, so you can find our products there. You can also find them at michaels.com. And there is different types of blanks there, and they would say that they're for sublimation. So because we know that there are different types of mugs and tumblers and totes that you can purchase from Michaels, but they would specifically say sublimation. And if you purchase ours, you will see the Craft Express logo on there.
Awesome. She's also asking, how expensive are sublimation papers, inks, or printers for that matter?
There is a variety of options out there. So there are 3 dedicated sublimation printers out there. You have the Brother, you have Sawgrass, and you have Epson. Both all 3 of these companies do carry specifically sublimation printers and the inks that go with each of those printers. Um, the price point, you would have to search it up, but they're between $400 to $600 depending. You would have to go and look up the specific printer that you would like to use. Inks, same thing. Brother has a really great option with as far as like the price point with inks and the printer. The paper, I think ours, I don't recall the exact price on it. But I think it's between like $20 and you're getting this one comes with 110 sheets, and this one will work with any type of sublimation surface. So whether you're using it on fabric or you're using it on like mugs and tumblers, this paper will work on every sublimation surface.
Awesome. I think that also answers Latika, if that does not answer your question when she mentioned about the brothers Epson or the Sawgrass, I just lost the train of thought. But if let us know if that answers your question or not, and I will let her know, and we'll try to get you a better answer. Someone's asking, can they use their Cricut to print transfers?
So you can't print transfers with a Cricut because it's a cutting machine. But we do have our transfer sheets that are here on the sides. There are sheets that come with a ink, a pattern, or a solid colors, and you would cut these on a cutting machine. So that's the other option that I mentioned. If you don't have a printer, you could do that. But the Cricut doesn't print, it cuts. So we have these transfer sheets. They are 12 by 12 and they come 4 in each pack. You would cut them mirror. So kind of if you're familiar with the cutting machines, it's the same thing you do with HTV. You would mirror your image, cut it onto the transfer sheet and weed it out, then transfer it over to your blank. So I keep saying blank and I didn't even explain that. And in sublimation or in crafting in general, you would call a blank actually a product that doesn't have anything. It's blank, and usually it's white. We do have some sublimation, for example, tumblers that are like a silver and it's a light silver, light pink, but most of the time you will see in sublimation that the blanks are white. I hope that answered your question. And this one has 2 sides. It has one with the logo, and it has these lines here to guide you to cut, and then you have the side with the print. You want to have the print facing up on your mat before you cut it.
And also, I'm also just to ask Sandra, are you asking can you do the print and cut, or are you just saying, can you design
Oh,
it in Cricut and then print it on your printer, if that's your question? All right. So we also have a question asking, what's the difference between printable, I think she's meant to say HTV, printable HTV and sublimation.
that's a great question. So printable HTV will last you for a certain amount of time. It will definitely start peeling off or fading away, as opposed to sublimation is permanent. It's not going anywhere. Once you transfer it, it's not going to scrape, scratch, or peel. It's on there permanently. Or like, just to give you an example, I made a t-shirt with a sublimation design on it. Over the course of time, my t-shirts started getting like those little, fuzzy balls when it's already old, but the print was still super vibrant. It was intact. So sublimation is permanent. And that's one of the most important things I like to point out about sublimation, especially if you're trying to start a business, is sublimation is something that is permanent. You can customize it with names, with images, with pictures, and it's not going to go away anytime. It stays there for a long, long time. I would almost say forever, but
All right.
was there another question? I think a
It
smiley face.
is. There are a few, so I'm excited. Um, if you could once again go over the printers and then also mention about it was let me get my questions out. I'm just reading it so fast because I'm so excited to see the questions. But again, they're asking what is the best printer, and then if you can also mention about the EcoTank type of printers.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So I don't know. I can't say which is the best printer. I have worked with Sawgrass printers and just recently with Brother. Both are amazing. I think it's more like your price point, what your budget is. So I would just recommend to go and take a look at those three options and just see which one of those three you feel fits best your budget. But they're those are the two that I would say. They're really great printers, and those that I know and actually have experience with. As far as the EcoTank printers, I know that a lot of people like to convert EcoTank printers and are successful printing with them. I just recommend that you, if you can, just invest on a sublimation printer, a dedicated sublimation printer, because you are going to have best results with that. You are, if you have any issues with the printer itself, you can always contact the company and they will be able to assist you. If you use a converted printer, right, and you have any problems, it stops printing, it clogs, then you can't contact the company because your warranty is already void by placing an ink that wasn't meant for that printer. Was
Awesome.
Did I answer those two questions?
That actually answered a couple of questions
Oh, good.
in one. So thank you for that. There is another question, and again, this is a sublimation for beginners Q&A. So definitely ask all the questions that you have. We're
Yes.
here to be able to get that answer for you. So one of the questions that's asking, what is a Cricut and what are sublimation printers, which you have explained. I just want to reiterate so I can say it out loud, is that a Cricut is a cutting machine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, again, there's different cutting machines out there. So such as Cricut Silhouette, Brothers has a cutting machine, and so does Caesar. So there's
Yeah.
different cutting machines out there that will allow you to print or cut vinyl, cut fabrics and so forth. So that is definitely different, but it is a program in which you can create um, your different projects from, create your designs from. And as Abby mentioned, there are different websites that you can grab an image from. So you can actually purchase images from sites such as Etsy, Creative Fabrica, and so forth, where you can actually do the designs. If you upload them into your whatever
Software.
software you're using, then at that point you can print that out on the sublimation paper and then put it on your blank. I
Mm-hmm.
think did I say that correctly? Would you say that?
Yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect explanation.
Wonderful. So then there's the question of, are there sublimation pens? If there are, could you use them on your Cricut?
Yes, sublimation pins. We have these Craft Express sublimation markers. As let me try to pull one out and see if I could place it close enough. I don't know if that's visible, but it has an arrow. This one goes into your machine and it can draw for you, and then you can transfer your design. Remember to mirror. I always like make an emphasis on that mirror because it has happened to me where I forget to mirror and then my design comes out backwards, especially if you have like writing, right? If you have a name and you forget to do mirror and it's all backwards. But yes, we have sublimation markers. You can actually use a regular printer paper to draw with these and then transfer it over to whatever blank of your choice.
Okay, so Pam was asking, why are we not using the mug press and starting from the beginning, and what this is supposed to be? So I think she's asking, so this is a Q&A section, so Abby will do some designs to show you how it works.
Yeah, I'm going to, you can use the mug press. For this project in particular, I'm going to use the tumbler press, and the tumbler press actually works with 11-ounce mugs up to 30-ounce tumblers. The specific one, which is the Elite Pro, has one heating barrel. So we're actually going to do this. So let's do something. I think, was there any more questions?
There is a question, once again, I think they were asking about if they could use a Cricut mug press to put the
Oh,
sublimation design on.
yeah, yes, you can. The
Um,
only difference is that you're limited, right? So it has an automatic feature and all those things, as opposed to using, like, for example, a tumbler press. You can adjust time and temperature on here, and you can adjust the pressure, depending on the blank that you're using.
Okay, there's another question asking, is it possible to use sublimation image along with HTV on a cotton poly blend t-shirt? And if so, how should it be done?
That's a good question. So some people use like a glitter HTV on a t-shirt and then sublimate it on it, or some other form of HTV that takes that sublimation ink. But this is my thought about it though. You're still placing an HTV on top of it, right? So it's right on the surface of your t-shirt. So that will peel off with time. It will peel off in the washer, in the dryer, when you're using it there. It will peel off over time. The design, like the ink that you transfer, will be on there permanent, but the vinyl will peel off. So we recommend more using polyester. You can even do a blend of 50% cotton, 50% polyester, but the higher the count, I'm gonna slow down. I saw some people writing. So 50% cotton, 50% polyester, you can do that blend. But the higher the count of your polyester, you're going to have better and more vibrant results. And there are polyester products that are really soft. So because I've heard people say, well, some things that I don't like about polyester is that it's not too soft. There is really soft polyester fabrics out there, that you can use. So I would stay away from doing that and would go more with using polyester t-shirts. Kind of defies the purpose of using sublimation, right?
So I'm going to let you go ahead and do the project, and then we'll come back
Okay,
to the questions.
that's perfect. All right, so we're going to set our press to 385 degrees. That's what I've set it to. And usually, so when we're working with stainless steel, with Craft Express stainless steel products, that is the temperature we use, 385 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you would sublimate your substrate for 2 minutes. In this case, we're using mugs, so we're going to place those 2 minutes. So it's 120 seconds. So you're going to hear some clicking while I do this. If you're using a tumbler, skinny tumbler, you will have to rotate your tumbler in your press. So when you're using a tumbler, you don't press for 120 seconds and then you rotate. The 120 seconds is the total amount of time that you sublimate a stainless steel product. So if you're going to have to rotate that tumbler, just cut your time in half. So in a stainless steel tumbler, you would do 60 seconds. rotate your tumbler, and press it for another 60 seconds. In this case, because they're mugs and I'm just going to put them in there, I'm not going to have to rotate them. I'm going to do them for the total 120 seconds. I hope that made sense. So I have my print here because I saw a lot of questions of the transfer sheet. We're going to do one with the print that I made, and then one with the transfer sheet, just so you can see a comparison of both of them. So I'm going to place it around my mug here, and then we're going to tape it down using thermal tape. So this is not your regular Scotch tape, right? If you place regular Scotch tape on your blanks, it's going to melt because it's 385 degrees. It's a lot of heat. So we are using specific type of tape, and it's called thermal tape, heat resistant tape. You will hear it with those two expressions. And then I've already set my pressure in the back. So this press in particular has these knobs located on the back. I don't know if you can see them. And then you would turn them to the right or to the left, which opens up or closes or opens up the heating barrel or the heating element that we use to press it. My press is ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and slide this in here. I'm going to turn it this way. I think it looks better this way. I'm going to slide it in here, and as I'm closing it, I'm going to make sure that my print is being covered completely. And I think I made it a little tiny bit bigger. So we're closing it up here, and we're going to let it run for this 120 seconds. After it's done, we're pulling it out. We can take a question while we're doing this process.
Okay, so there's a question asking if I wanted to use a tin cover, such as a cookie tin cover, could she use a sublimation oven?
For a tin cover?
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure your blank is sublimation. What a
She
tin
asked about a
cover?
cookie. She said like a cookie can cover.
I haven't seen those for sublimation though. Well, for the oven, you want to use anything that's like a mug or a tumbler. No flat items. And then just make sure they are sublimation product. It's coded for sublimation.
Okay. I think we answered part of Kathy's questions. Then she was saying that her HTV will go above and below the sublimation image, not on it. So, okay, so I understand now. So yes, she was asking about the poly cotton blend. So that's awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so then we have another question. Can you explain what is needed to sublimate for a dark t-shirt?
That's a great question. And actually, sublimation is a transparent ink. So if you did not know that, sublimation is a transparent ink. Therefore, it can only apply in light colors. So a dark t-shirt wouldn't work with sublimation because you wouldn't see the design again because it's a transparent color. And it doesn't print in white.
The next question is, do you have to clean the mug exterior before sublimating?
Yeah, and I did do it before the live. Sorry, I didn't even explain that part. But yes, you want to clean it before you sublimate it. Usually what I do is I use a lint roller and just roll it around the blank, and that is perfect. Some people like to use alcohol. I like to use that. So you guys ready for this reveal? This is my favorite part of sublimation. We call it the wow moment here at Craft Express. Is once you see it, your design transfer, you're like, wow, I did that. So let me peel that off so you can see it. Look at those colors. They turned out so good, so beautiful. Look how beautiful those colors look. Now, when I'm explaining sublimation, I like to point out the time and temperature. When you use the correct time and temperature, you're going to have vibrant colors, and you will know if you use the wrong temperature, if you overcooked your tumbler, if the black writing looks brown. And if you can observe this one, you can see that everything is a stream, dream it, wish it, do it, all that looks black. So that's something very important to note. As long as you're using the correct time and temperature, your colors should look perfect. And see, all the ink from my paper was transferred over to my mug. All right, so we are going to go on to the next one. I told you I promised that I was going to do something with the transfer sheet. Now I'm not going to cut this one, but I'm going to transfer the whole sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. Let me try to extend it a little bit more. And I'm going to cut it, and to have a precise or better cut, I'm going to use a cutting a cutting machine, not a cutting machine, sorry. I'm going to use this tool right here to help me cut a straight line across. And we're going to sublimate this onto the mug. This is one of the transfer sheets that I was talking about. So if you don't have a printer, you can use the transfer sheets. And you can use it the way that I'm doing it right now, where I'm just going to, put it around the mug, or you can use a cutting machine and cut a design to it. All right, so I'm kind of eyeballing it here and turn it around this way. This one is the backing. So if you do end up cutting a shape in it, you would peel it off, and this is sticky, so it would actually stick to your mug. But because I'm doing it this way, I'm going to have to hold it and tape it down. So let's tape this one down. And we're going to use the same time and temperature. Oh, don't forget to take off the lid. I'm going to take off the lid of this one right when I'm done taping. And if you notice, I don't use a lot of tape, just enough where your design is secured onto your product. But don't use too much tape, because what happens is that when you need to peel it off or remove it, it makes it harder. And when you're working with sublimation, you want to peel it off right away. You don't want to have to wait too long to peel it off. Otherwise, the process continues and your colors are going to come out wrong. Right, so we're placing in there for 120 seconds. And I think I saw questions, so we can answer that while I'm pressing this.
Yes. I'm actually gonna ask the one that just came in a few minutes ago. They was asking if that was iron on vinyl.
Iron on vinyl. Yes, but iron on vinyl goes on fabrics, right? It's not sublimation. Was that the question? Or did
I think she was wondering the paper that you just put on there, if that was iron on vinyl. I believe that was the question.
Okay, if that was the question, this is not iron on vinyl, although it sort of works the same way. The difference is this is permanent. It's sublimation. So what it is a sheet. Instead of having the printer print the design for you, it's a sheet that already has a pattern, right? It has a design. It's sublimation. It's an ink on there that we transfer over with heat. You do work it in a sense similar to HTV, because you do have to mirror it and you do have to weed it out if you're cutting a design onto the sheet. If you're just doing it the way that I did, all you gotta do is tape it just like what you would any sublimation print.
And there is a question asking about the tape. So they were asking, what tape do you use?
This is a Craft Express thermal tape. It's a heat resistant tape. So what it does, it has that strong adhesive to where it can tape your paper down to your tumbler, to your mug, but then it won't melt with the heat. It withstands that high heats that we use when sublimating.
And can you sublimate a t-shirt using a Cricut press?
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay. And I know someone just asked about how fast they can access the recording. So I did put that note in there that this class will be available on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. So definitely you can go back, watch, rewind, pause, however you need to do. on tomorrow. So I'll look back about this time tomorrow and you can review this class. Can we cut the design close to the handle?
You can just what I would do is make sure when you're closing it, make sure how far you can go, because if you cut it too close, it's not on the tumbler press or on a mug press, it's not going to press that part. So if you want to do it really close to the handle, I would then use the oven instead. Another thing that I forgot to note, and it just happened right now, when you're using these transfer sheets, make sure you put butcher paper or parchment paper, because those lines will mark onto your tumbler press. And that just happened to me. Isn't that nice? Let me show you the result so you can see how beautiful this turned out. Look at those colors. Super vibrant. So let me show you what it looked before, how it looked before, and then how it looks after you press it. So this is our before, right? The colors look a little dull. And then once you transfer it, you have these really vibrant, beautiful colors. All right, do we have any more questions?
Yes, I do. Loretta's asking, did you print these or pre-order from a company?
Okay, great question. So we Craft Express, we offer the transfer sheets in different patterns and colors. So those already come with that print. When you purchase them, they will come with the print that's on the box. So on the box, you have the print. That's how it actually looks once you transfer it over. And inside you will have the sheets that look like it, just a little dull. So if you buy these and you pull them out of the box and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look the same way. This looks very dull. Sublimation is dull when you print it. Sublimation on the transfer sheet will look dull when you take it out of the box. After it goes through that heat process, then you get these very beautiful, vibrant colors. And the other one, I printed in my sublimation printer with sublimation paper and inks, and the design was from somewhere online. One of those pages that Felicia mentioned that I don't recall right now.
The images, they can purchase different image. So I'm going to say these two are probably the most trusted of pages, but you do want to be careful of where you purchase your images from. So definitely, if you choose to go to Etsy or go to Creative Fabrica, and that's Creative Fabrica, so Fabrica, are different places where you can actually purchase images from. Gloria's asking, where did you buy your tape holder? And just so they know, I did put the link in the chat.
Okay.
So definitely, it is Craft Express. So you can definitely purchase from Craft Express or from Michael's website.
Yes. Yes. And we have it available in 3 colors.
Yes. Let's see, there is another question in here. Will you be able to do a class from the beginning to the end using DTF film and DTF powder?
Hopefully we can in the future. I don't know about that yet.
Awesome. Can you use vinyl on top of sublimation?
Yes, you sure can. So let's say I printed out this design. I want to add my name to it. I can cut vinyl and then place the name on top. Just remember that with vinyl, you have to follow those care where you don't put it in the dishwasher, clean it before you apply it, all those things like that, because vinyl will fall off, but you definitely can add vinyl onto the sublimation.
I think I've answered oh, they just came in. Instead of a Cricut press, can we use a regular iron or electric press for fabrics like t-shirt prints?
That's a great question. The answer is no. We don't recommend using a regular iron for 3 things. Three things. Number one, a regular iron will not reach the temperatures required for sublimation. So if you notice for this one, I did 385. Number two, you need an iron that has even heat. And usually our home irons do not carry that even heat. And then you would have to do that pressure to then sublimate. And with sublimation is talking about your heat source, it's a combination of the right heat and the right pressure. So I would not recommend using a house iron for sublimation.
Okay. So the next question is, which should I adhere first, the HTV or the sublimation image on my t-shirt?
Definitely you want to go with sublimation first. Just have in mind though, let's say you're using that sublimation and HTV on a t-shirt, your colors, your sublimation colors may fade a little bit once you apply the HTV. So I would recommend to let it cool off completely before you even apply the HTV, but that should be your last step applying the HTV.
Okay. This next question is asking when to use sublimation powder on and which we have to use.
Can you
So
repeat it again?
I think they're mixing the question because I don't sublimation blanks already are coated with the
Mm-hmm.
polyester, which is different than using DTF powder.
Correct. So those are two different things.
The next question is, how do you use the HTV over the sublimated mug or blank, and do you reheat it?
So you wouldn't use HTV on a mug or a tumbler or anything like that. With HTV, it's only used on a fabric. So with this, you can actually use adhesive vinyl. So some sort of permanent adhesive vinyl and apply it on top. And you would do it just like you normally apply an adhesive decal or vinyl. You first sublimate it, let it cool off because this is really hot. If you notice when I was taking it out of the press, I was holding it from the handle. I wasn't even touching the metal parts and I peeled it off because this will be very, very hot when you take it out. So you want to let it cool off before you apply the vinyl onto it.
And does Craft Express have a time and temperature sheet?
Yes, we do. I don't know, Felicia, if you have it, but I can send that over to you if you need it. But we do have a temperature guide for our products.
I do not have it, so that would be great. And once we receive it, we can upload it with the video. Or is it on your website? They can find it.
I'm trying to remember. I know Megan, who usually does these videos, I think she shared it and she posted it on our website, but I'll go ahead and send you the link
Okay,
um, just so you can have it.
awesome. And Erica, I'm not sure if you may have heard before, but she said you cannot use an iron.
Mhm.
Um, will you be doing a beginner sublimation t-shirt class?
Oh, that would be interesting. I think we can plan it out. We'll see what we can do with that.
And I would also suggest, because we have a plethora of classes on Michael's YouTube channel, if you want to go back and check our library, I will say definitely go back. There are definitely different sublimation classes on there as well. If you're already using sublimation, why would you need to use HTV? I
Were you gonna say something? Sorry,
I was
interrupted.
looking, I was trying to see if making sure that I was understanding that question. I think that what some people are saying is that they're going to use it, trying to use it on top of the sublimation. I think because so I think let me ask you this question this way, so maybe it'll help her with her question.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you do if you want a design to have some form of glitter on it compared to just having a smooth sublimation?
So if you wanted to have glitter, you could cut the design on a glitter HTV and then transfer your sublimation design on it. Again, I go back to what I mentioned prior to this. If you're applying vinyl or HTV, sorry, HTV I should say, it's going to fall off over time. Um, I would also like I think her question was if you're already applying, the sublimation, why would you apply HTV onto it? And you don't have to. I was just answering because there were, the question was could you apply HTV onto vinyl afterwards? And the answer is yes, but it will come off. With sublimation though, you can make any print, any design as long as it doesn't have white. So you really don't need the HTV because you can cut a name, you can cut a phrase, and have it have a little bit of a image or a background and transfer it over. So, oh, I actually had, here's an example. So this has a drawing and has writing. So sublimation, you can do something like this and transfer it over. You wouldn't need the HTV, but because the question was, could you apply HTV to it? That's why I answered yes, you can afterwards. But it is not needed because you can do images that have writing and there's no need for the HTV.
So I think this is a great question. It asks, if you use the oven, how does it get the pressure it needs to sublimate versus the press?
That's a great question. So I'm gonna move from a camera just real quick so I can grab something. And when you are using the oven, things fell away. I feel like I'm a little crowded here. When you're using the oven, you can use a heat gun and spray fin. So what this does is create the pressure that you need for sublimation. That's an awesome question. I love that question. So assuming that I wanted to do my mug in the oven because I want it to be super close to the handle or even try to sublimate the handle, then I would place the wrap around my tumbler or my mug, and then I would place it inside these plastic that is called a shrink film or shrink wrap. You will open it up, place it in there. I would even trim this a little bit because the mug is pretty small compared to the size. You see this compared to the size of it. But then with my heat gun and some heat gloves, because this is really hot, you would then add some heat and it shrinks the wrap around your mug. And that is what's going to create the pressure that you would otherwise do using the knobs on a tumbler press. That's the pressure that you would need to then press in an oven. I hope that answered your question. Makes
I
sense.
believe so. Which comes another great question. Of course, all of these are great questions. So you hear me keep saying great. I think they're all great questions.
They're all great.
So there's a question. Can you apply hot fix rhinestones on the mug after sublimating?
Yeah, I've seen people do that and they look amazing. You can do hot fix, or you can also do just like the rhinestones where you apply glue and put the rhinestone on top. Both of those work.
Awesome. So they're asking what else can be used in the oven?
Oven, everything that is like this, nothing that is flat. So you wouldn't be able to do any fabrics, avoid fabrics in there. You wouldn't be able to do like a oh my gosh, I lost the word. A coaster, no coaster. So mugs, tumblers, it could be stainless steel, ceramic, or glass, as long as they are coated for sublimation. Because let me show you, we have some glass products like this one that has this really unique shape, right? So this wouldn't fit in the tumbler press because it's kind of curvy down here at the bottom. At the top, it starts getting a little bit more narrow. So this wouldn't be able to, like, you wouldn't be able to sublimate on the tumbler press. This is when you would then use the oven. And this glass will withstand the heat required to sublimate it in the oven. So then again, this shrink film, your heat gun, and then place it in there. So mostly I would say mugs, tumblers, glass items that are drinkware is what I would say when using the oven. Pens, you can sublimate pens in the oven.
Awesome. Do you have any demonstration for any t-shirt examples?
Not at the moment. We could possibly do a tote bag later, and we can use the flat press, and that would be a great example to show you because it's the same process you would do on a t-shirt.
Awesome. That's the last question I have, but I do, because I've seen the other classes, can you go over about the sublimation pens again? Or
The
if you have
sublimation, what?
the pens, the markers rather.
Oh, okay. The markers. Yes. So these markers can be used on a regular printer paper, right? Let me grab one right here. Okay. So regular printer paper. Now by choice, this is not necessary, but by choice, I like to stick with laser. It's a laser inject bright paper because I feel like the transfer looks better, but any printer paper would work. And then you can take your marker and draw freehand, right? I wouldn't recommend writing a name. If you want to write a name, I would write it on the back side of where you're actually going to use your marker, and then this way you are tracing it backwards. Does that make sense? Because you want to mirror it, but you can draw. And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna draw hearts. I feel that's gonna be the easiest thing to do and demonstrate how it works. But you can draw and then transfer it over. You can color it in. You can also use it on a cutting machine. So put it in your cutting machine, have your machine draw it for you. I've also done in the past where I print a drawing image on sublimation paper and then color it in and then transfer it. So there's multiple ways you can use the markers. This is a great activity for the family. So if you want to do like Mother's Day gift, Mother's Day is coming up soon. Mother's Day gift, you can have the little ones draw something and then transfer it over onto a mug maybe for grandma and grandpa. But yes, so we have markers. These come in a pack of 18 colors. So you have different colors there. The colors are going to look dull. So if you look at my image, the colors are a little dull. But then once again, the heat hits it and it's transfer, you're gonna have vibrant colors. Just like I showed you with the transfer sheets, how they were dual. And then after the heat, it looks really vibrant.
And can you give the name of the markers again?
They're just called sublimation markers, Craft Express sublimation markers.
And Erica, I'm going to get the link so that I can put it in the chat for you.
Yeah.
And while I'm doing that, we have another question asking, is there a way to make an object accept sublimation like a regular mug?
So no, regular mug, you can't sublimate on it. You can add adhesive vinyl to it, but not sublimate on a regular mug. They have to be coated with polyurethane to be able to sublimate.
Okay. I think so far that is that is the last question. And so while we're doing that, like I said, I am getting the link to the marker. So if you are interested in doing so, you can definitely visit michaels.com to purchase those markers or visit Craft Express. So there's a quick question that just came in, said, can you use your home oven?
So if you're going to use a home oven, you can't use it for cooking afterwards because you're using a for already for different purpose, which is sublimation. So I wouldn't recommend using home oven. This oven in particular is designed with an even heat source. It's designed to reach the time and temperature that we need. So I would recommend investing on a sublimation oven as opposed to using a home oven because you will run into those issues where maybe the heat is not the heat source is not even. So and then you can't use it for food afterwards. So better to use a sublimation oven.
And so since that question, I'm going to ask a different question. Can you use any type of like convection oven or anything like that?
again, I would say again, I don't recommend it because you will run into those issues where the temperature is not even. I've known people that use it. I I like to make an emphasis on using products that are meant for what you're using them for. So again, remember we talked about earlier about the whole converting a EcoTink printer versus using a sublimation printer. Something important to know is with presses, with the oven, with the blanks, these have gone through a lot of testing to make sure that you will have consistent results, right? So they are meant specifically for that, designed for that, tested to make sure that you will have perfect results. So I would again make an emphasis on using an oven that is meant for sublimation.
Awesome. So there's a question asking, she's seen people, excuse me, use tape all the way around the mug in order to sublimate. Is that necessary?
No, I personally don't do it. And what I explained earlier when when I was doing this is when you are taping it, it should be enough tape to secure it down, but you don't want to over tape it because once you pull it out of your tumbler press, out of the oven, you want to make sure you can remove that tape as soon as possible. If you leave it for too long, and I've seen it mostly with skinny tumblers and mugs where I've seen people, are a little upset because their colors, especially darker colors, do not look like they did when they saw it in their computer or design it first. And it's more visible on, like, for example, black. So if you leave you're taping it all around, this is super hot when it comes out of your press. I would recommend to use a heat resistant glove like this one. So you're holding it, you can hold it like this, you can hold it by the handle, and then you just peel it, right? You peeled your tape. If I have tape on the rim and I have tape on the bottom, I'm going to try to tear that as soon as possible. Sometimes it's hard to do that when it's hot. So I don't recommend over taping it. Just the minimum. And if you notice, I did two tapes on one side, two tapes on the other. When I do tumbler, same thing, just a straight row of tape down the seam so I can easily peel it off.
All right. I have been trying to keep up with you, and every time you pull out something, I've been trying to put the links in the chat as well.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. There is some other questions here. Um, do you have to use t-shirt that is ready for sublimation, or can you use a regular t-shirt material?
Polyester. As long as it has polyester, the higher the count, the better. So at the beginning, I mentioned you could do a 50-50 blend, but I always recommend going higher. If you can go with 100% polyester, it will be much, much better.
Okay. And Susan is asking that there is a sublimation spray that can be put on things, and how does that work?
So I've seen the sublimation spray. I've heard people use it, but then this is the thing. How precise can we be when spraying an even coat, right? So it is best to use a product that has already been fabricated with that coating because it's going to be a precise, uniform coat of polyurethane, and you will have a perfect transfer all around. If you're spraying it, wherever it is that you're spraying it on a t-shirt, on a tote, on a mug, on a glass, you're not going to have an even coat. So chances are your prints will not transfer the best. Let's say you have that first time luck and you spray it and it looks amazing and looks perfect, but then you want to replicate the same result on another one and it's not going to look the same. So I would recommend staying away from that and just getting a blank that is already coated for sublimation.
Awesome. So I'm going to reiterate on a couple of questions that just came in. As far as dark t-shirts, Abby did mention that the sublimation does not print on dark t-shirts. So, but with her question, I'm going to ask another different type of question just based
Okay.
on some things I've seen. could someone use some type of a white vinyl of some sort and then sublimate on? And I'm just asking based on her question.
Yeah, I have seen those type of products, and again, I would say yes, you could definitely use that, but then again, it will come off because it's something superficial as opposed to sublimation where it actually incorporates with the molecules on from the polyester, and it becomes the best way to explain it. It becomes one with the product. If you're applying some form of vinyl or HTV and then sublimating on top of it, it's going to come off after a certain period of time or usage. So again, I want to recommend that, just to and stay with the lighter colors. So if you're using a taupe or a t-shirt, stay with lighter colors.
All right. And I'm going to let this be the last question since we're at the top of the hour. This last question is, are infusible ink markers the same as sublimation markers?
I think so. I think they're the same. I would 100% recommend ours. Our Craft Express sublimation markers.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll let you go ahead and sign off. And just remind everyone that definitely if you want to see any upcoming classes, to please visit michaels.com/classes to see all the next sublimation class or Craft Express class or any classes that we have available. I'll let you sign off now, Abby.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoy today's class. Don't forget to follow us at Craft Express US and Instagram. And we hope to see you on the next class. Bye.